Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Aliens Invaded. I, Chef Become the Strongest Human. Chapter 81. The elders of the Fire Frog clan and the Fire Fish clan were waiting with confidence. I believe that after dispatching the trump card, it will definitely bring them good news. As a result, what came was only bad news. The fire frogs who escaped back are relatively thin and weak. They are not very strong, but they can understand the human language. I have studied it deliberately, and even though I can't say it, I can still understand the general meaning. This fire frog tribe described the cause and effect of the incident so that the two elders could know the cause and effect. It turned out that the Ace clan members of the two clans led a large team to carefully search for Zhang Tian. On the way, they even attacked the human geniuses they encountered and defeated that team. For a time, the teams led by the aces of the two clans were high-spirited, and it didn't take long for them to find their target. In order to avoid making mistakes, they also took out the portraits drawn by the clan members during the first siege of Zhangtian for comparison. No mistake. What happened next was an unforgettable scene for this fire frog tribe. The ace of their fire frog tribe had just rushed forward and smashed him fiercely with a three-pronged fork. Thinking that Zhang Tian would be like the human genius he met before, his weapon flew away from his hands after being hit, and he retreated in confusion. As a result, the scene was completely different from what they imagined. Instead, the other party sidestepped and took away the three-pronged fork. However, the ace of the fire frog tribe was hit in the head by his own weapon. As for the ace of the fire fish tribe, when he saw that the situation was not good, he was ready to escape. But at this time, the human target of their operation started shouting loudly. This fire frog, who knew the human language, imitated Zhang Tian's actions at that time and pointed at the fire fish next to him. Wow, wow, wow. Translated meaning: a very fat fish must be particularly delicious. How could it be possible for you to run away today? Afterwards, the ace of the fire fish tribe had his limbs chopped off by the human devil. His head was knocked unconscious, and he was disemboweled in front of everyone. When the fire frog tribe mentioned this place, many fire fish tribes who had escaped back started hugging the fish's head and lying next to it, their tails trembling. Feng Shui has changed, and the two tribes have killed many human races in the past. This small world of fire soup fought against the human race, and many human warriors died in their hands. Now, he was turned into this by a young clan. Despair filled the hearts of these two elders, and they felt deeply powerless. I really lost my wife and lost my troops. I thought I could get great credit this time and be rich and powerful. As a result, most of their elite warriors died, and the two aces in the clan also died. Judging from the human language, it might have entered the opponent's stomach. Although the two elders were sad in their hearts, they quickly recovered. There were still important things to do next. The information about this human race must be passed on immediately and notified to the surrounding tribes. At the same time, the information must be passed on to the superior race, the Fire Feather tribe. To sum up, the painful lessons learned during this period are not that we failed to obtain valuable information. First, the nearby tribes, the Fire Frog tribe, the Fire Fish tribe, and even the upper-ranking Fire Feather tribe, please pay attention to this young male. The strength he displayed was far beyond his age, and he was among the top geniuses in the human race. He also has a very unique hobby of hunting down fire frogs and fire fish for food, which is extremely dangerous and terrifying. Secondly, the human race seems to have launched a special action plan, and many young human race geniuses have appeared and are very active near the opponent's base camp. It seems to be related to the cleanup operation carried out by the human army dozens of days ago. After summarizing the information here, the two elders gathered their blood and imprinted it on the information, and then asked the tribesmen to spread it out immediately. In this way, the two elders can get some credit to some extent, and there may even be an envoy sent by the superior race Fire Feather clan. After all, what they reported was no small matter. In addition, the positioning of the two tribes is that they are scouts and coolies at the front, or cannon fodder. There are a lot of two tribes in the area near the human race's base camp, hoping to get better resources and a better habitat. Sacrifice is inevitable, and Zhang Tian, who had killed the two aces, naturally didn't know what was going on under the pond. At the moment, he was eating fish slowly while watching Huang Xing and Guo Qihong fight for the grilled fish skin. The grilled fish skin of the Huiyu tribe is very delicious, and there is a shallow layer of fat under the skin. After the fat is baked, it becomes crispy and matches the charred aroma of the skin. Also, the skin is very rich and the taste is stronger. It tastes more delicious. Although it is delicious, Shui Ruyan does not like to eat fish skin, and Zhang Tian, the chef, will definitely not compete with his diners for food. Huang Xing and Guo Qihong naturally started a battle over grilled fish skin. On a whim, Guo Qihong even proposed using chopsticks as weapons, using the roasted fish clan as a battlefield, and fighting with the roasted fish skins as trophies. After eating the delicious food, you can also train your wrist strength, power control, and reaction ability. Great value for money. Huang Xing agreed with Guo Qihong's plan and couldn't help but sigh. What about your %? After all the talking, I still have to do it, and this feeling of being secretly involved is really refreshing. After eating and drinking, Huang Xing and Guo Qihong were not even in a hurry to go back, but stayed in the yard for special training. Because the two found that after eating, the blood in the body was full, and they must not waste it in vain. The sparring partner is naturally Zhang Tian. Although Zhang Tian couldn't directly take Huang Xing and Guo Qihong to move freely, he could take them to win. It would be okay to feed them a little, help them train, and improve their strength so that they can win military glory with their own hands. It is better to teach people to fish than to teach them how to fish. Bang bang bang. Huang Xing and Guo Qihong were in the yard, launching a siege against Zhang Tian. Zhang Tian, on the other hand, was holding a barbecue in his hand, dodging while eating, and from time to time he would find the opponent's weak spot and kick him out. Then, the two figures flew out and fell heavily to the ground. However, it was only a little bruised. After they ate Zhang Tian's food, the overbearing blood in their bodies quickly healed and slowly recovered. Originally, this kind of contusion could recover quite quickly depending on their bodies after awakening. Zhang Tian's food is even more effective. The two looked at each other, not feeling frustrated but excited. Since Zhang Tian gave them such good conditions, how could they wait until now if they don't work hard? Charge! Huang Xing roared, taking the lead to charge towards Zhang Tian, followed closely by Guo Qihong. In the yard, the two of them were running around Zhang Tian, who was still eating. Next to her, Shui Ruyan was putting on a posture, using the training method to hone herself. In a courtyard, everyone's strength is improving. It was almost late at night. Huang Xing and Guo Qihong returned to their assigned dormitories before the stipulated time. When they arrived at the dormitory, their roommates smelled the aroma of barbecue and alcohol on the two of them. Where did you two go to have fun? The roommate looked at the two of them very curiously. Huang Xing didn't say anything, but Guo Qihong smiled slyly. I have some connections at home, so I got some good stuff to enjoy secretly. There's no need to work so hard in the exam. You train so hard during the day, should you relax? The roommate was stunned. There was a hint of disdain in Guo Qihong's eyes for his hedonistic appearance, but he still said, I really envy you. We even practiced hard by ourselves at night, hee. Why do you need to practice more? You are just asking for your own trouble. Since it is free rest time, just relax. Guo Qihong said drunkenly and climbed into his bed. Huang Xing, who was standing next to him, was dumbfounded when he saw Guo Qihong's performance. He also wondered why this guy took out the wine from his bag before coming back, sprayed it on his body with blood energy, and then gargled it in his mouth and spit it out. No wonder this guy, as one of the four great Vajras, usually performs poorly every day, but in the wake-up test he was a blockbuster. Okay, is that how you play? If Huang Xing hadn't been with the other party all the time and knew the truth behind it, he would have been frightened by this series of performances. He also experienced firsthand what the operation of the King of Involution was like. It was a performance every moment, even during the regular army assessment. He deliberately pretended to be out of breath and exhausted, making people think that he was fighting for his life. He also secretly stuffed things into his mouth from time to time, and his revealed personality made many people think that he was taking supplements. Many people think that Guo Qihong is drinking poison to quench his thirst. When the actual battle comes, his true colors will be revealed. And if he continues like this, his future achievements will definitely be limited. But only Huang Xing knew that the supplements this King Wan was taking were really supplements from pig's trotters made of old ginger. He secretly ate the stuff, and after passing it to himself a few times, he realized that it was actually breath-freshening mints. Thinking of this, Huang Xing looked towards Guo Qihong and found that the other party was secretly blinking at him. I'm really convinced, but it feels very interesting and refreshing. Huang Xing climbed into his bed and lay down. He had to take a good rest. His whole body was sore after being tortured by Zhang Tian. However, a lot of the blood energy contained in the fire frog and fire fish eaten at night still circulates in the body, warming the body and recovering from fatigue and physical injuries. The next morning, one thing that is different this time from the first day is that candidates who join the regular army will leave the base under the leadership of veterans and officially begin to participate in the battle. Many members of the regular army have already begun to gather in advance and are preparing to set off with their own people, and the people dispatched are all elite. After all, these students are all fresh blood. Even if the future seedlings are to go to the battlefield, they cannot really be allowed to die in vain. However, the regular army is not that stupid. The assessment, selection and internal assessment all require familiarity with the general abilities and capabilities of these students. Only in this way can they be assigned to suitable teams, with a reasonable mix, and the assigned tasks will also be reasonable and there will be no problems such as embarrassment. The students in the regular army are all gearing up and eager to try. At the same time, he also looked at some students heading towards the free movement exit, with eager eyes in their eyes. During their special training yesterday, they wanted to leave the base like these top students and compete with foreign races. At the free movement entrance and exit, Zhang Tian and Shui Ruyan were doing simple registration. At other registration gates next to the two of them, students from other colleges and universities were also registering, just like the scene on the first day. In comparison, Zhang Tian and Shui Ruyan were full of energy and clean. On the other hand, others are a little embarrassed and slovenly. Especially the Lang Hao team led by Shangxi High School. 2 people were missing when they dispatched this time. The remaining people had more or less minor injuries and their clothes were dirty. You gained something yesterday. The examiners who registered on the first day were deeply impressed by the duo of Zhang Tian and Shui Ruyan. Looking at the appearance of the 2 people, he roughly deduced that the 2 men should have killed the aliens yesterday. Students who can move freely are different from students who join the regular army. Those students have dormitories, but students who can move freely do not. They must use military merit points to exchange them. The 2 had obviously taken a bath and had a good sleep. They must have killed foreigners and exchanged their military merit points for accommodation. But you should take your time with your military merit points. What you spend will not be counted as your grades. The examiner reminded Zhang Tian and Shui Ruyan to prevent them from not knowing. Free movement is more difficult and has many benefits. If you can take the lead in taking action, if you are strong enough, you will have more opportunities to gain military honors. Similarly, when enjoying various services in the base, everything depends on your own military merit points. The accommodation you sleep in requires military merit points, eating requires military merit points, and bathing also requires military merit points. In contrast, students who join the regular army do not need to worry about this aspect, as everything is taken care of by the army. This is also the design of the Tang National Examination Team. If you are strong enough but want to be comfortable, if you choose the regular army, you will not achieve very high results and lose the chance to compete for the top spot. If you are not strong enough and choose to act freely, if you are too ambitious, it will only make your results worse. The most valuable thing about people is self-awareness. Because only by knowing yourself clearly can you make the best and most beneficial choice. Is that so? Zhang Tian took out his mobile phone, looked at it and asked the examiner, I have a question for you. I currently have 157 military merit points. How high can I rank in the country? It's only been 1 day. A little military merit can't be ranked. Before the examiner could finish his words, his voice stopped abruptly and he suddenly moved closer to Zhang Tian's tactical phone. On the screen, Zhang Tian's military merit points were clearly displayed, and those 3 digits deeply stimulated the examiner. Not only the examiner, but also Lang Hao and other members of the team turned their heads and looked at Zhang Tian. Zhang Tian's voice was not masked just now, so everyone could hear it clearly. Everyone's eyes widened, wondering if they heard correctly. Is it very few? Zhang Tian looked at the examiner without speaking and asked again, I think it's not too few. I heard that this classmate Lang is the strongest competitor for the provincial champion. Presumably his military merit points should be more than twice mine, right? When Zhang Tian said this, he began to wonder if he should work harder and hunt more ingredients. After all, the teacher suggested that it would be better for him to get the top prize in the province. Lang Hao, who was in the team next to him, was silent for a long time before slowly speaking, this classmate, my military merit points are 13. As Lang Hao's words fell, the scene immediately fell into silence. There was also a drop of sweat on Zhang Tian's forehead. He looked at Lang Hao with a serious expression, 13 o'clock. Classmate, this is not a joke. You can see for yourself. Lang Hao was very straightforward and took out his tactical mobile phone and showed it to Zhang Tian in front of him. Joke, what a joke, they worked hard yesterday to earn so many military points. As a result, the guy in front of me, the one his teammates laughed at yesterday, actually had 3-digit military merit points. Look at each other's appearance, their clothes are neat and clean. Now that we are standing so close, we can even smell each other's shampoo. Collection of colognes for men. Don't ask why, he has the same style at home. It means that where the other party lived yesterday, he must have exchanged military points for a good rest. On the other hand, they were reluctant to use their military merit points and directly found a place to sleep on the ground. Is this the feeling of being wealthy and having no worries about military merit? Seeing the content on Lang Hao's tactical phone, Zhang Tian's brows trembled and he felt like his head was getting bigger. Why is the situation like this? Zhang Tian had already restrained himself, not to mention the physical melting pot, and even had the strength to strike. How could he have imagined that he had restrained himself so much and hid it so much? There is such a big gap between my own performance and the apparent top competitor in the province. This distance is not just a little bit, but a huge difference. It doesn't rule out that there are top talents similar to you in other places, but you are already one of the top candidates in the country. The examiner in charge of registration finally spoke at this time. When he looked at Zhang Tian, his expression was a little unnatural. Yesterday, I also persuaded the two of them not to seek death or lose their lives. In the end, these two guys in front of me were real monsters. It was too difficult to win such military merit points on the first day. Even if the two of them really had such fighting power, it would not be easy to encounter so many alien races. What's more, if you are too obsessed with killing aliens, you may be surrounded by enemies without even realizing it. Actually, we are also lucky. At this time, Shui Ruyan suddenly said, my profession is a qi refiner. I use my blood energy to control the water in the pool and dive into the bottom. We found a tribe, and the soldiers seemed to be out patrolling, allowing us to take advantage of the situation. The two of us killed the aliens in that tribe. Most of them were in the 0th level of health cultivation. The number of warriors in the first level of awakening level was very small and not worth mentioning. Shui Ruyan's explanation made everyone suddenly realize that if this was the case, it would make sense. Even so, it proves that you are quite capable. Even if a tribe's warriors go on patrol, there will at least be a lot of alien warriors left behind. And your move is too risky. The tribes under the pond, the Fire Frog tribe and the Fire Fish tribe, all have no fixed abodes. It's very possible that they are still living in this place today and move to another property tomorrow. It's just because their so-called tribes and living places are made of stones piled at the bottom of the river at will. Sometimes, they will use the abandoned residences of other tribes as resting places. The randomness is not obvious. After hearing Shui Ruyan's explanation, the examiner was frightened for a while. Although in some places, it looks like a small tribe from the outside, when you get closer, you will find that it is a big tribe. At that time, it will be too late to run away. Can you still outrun the Fire Frog tribe and Fire Fish tribe in the pond? When the examiner gave instructions, he also looked in the direction of Lang Hao and others. His words not only reminded Zhang Tian and Shui Ruyan, but also reminded Lang Hao and the others. Among their team, there is naturally the profession of mind teacher, who can control and isolate the water of the pool with blood energy. Luck accounted for most of Shui Ruyan's actions, so he was worried that Leng Hao and others were not self-aware and would be in trouble if they followed suit. Leng Hao and the others also heard what the examiner meant, and they all nodded to express that they knew what was good and would not make fun of their own lives. Afterwards, their team continued to approach in the direction of the base. But many people would look in the direction of Zhang Tian and Shui Ruyan from time to time, with envy in their eyes. Likewise, they no longer looked down upon the two of them. Shui Ruyan said it was easy, but in fact they encountered a lot of dangers. However, what Shui Ruyan said also provided Leng Hao and the others with an idea. In fact, there is no need to go out of your way to fight head-on with foreign warriors. When you encounter a large parade like yesterday, you have to take it easy and leave as early as possible. It is best to observe secretly to see if there are any soldiers from the Chishui tribe patrolling, and observe the patrol routes of these soldiers to conduct an ambush. The efficiency should be better. In addition, the examiner also provided information, since these fire frogs and fire fish tribes have no fixed residence and like to move around. It doesn't necessarily mean you can move around in the pool, or you can walk through water systems such as rivers. The water quality of many rivers is relatively clear, and the movements of alien races can be observed. If you attack ordinary members of a foreign race, it will also be a military merit point. As for whether it was right to do so, or whether it would be too cruel to attack ordinary tribesmen, that was not something they considered. The war between races, with kind hearts and soft hearts, only harms the innocent people of the human race. The ordinary people died tragically at the hands of the aliens. When the aliens took action, they never thought about being cruel or cruel. Here, Zhang Tian and Shui Ruyan also left the exit and arrived outside the base. Trouble, there are too many military merit points. Zhang Tian rubbed his forehead and felt a headache. Shui Ruyan was at the side and nodded, it's indeed a bit more. Even with the help of classmate Zhang, my military merit points are only 21 points. I thought it wouldn't be a big problem to kill such a small amount of ingredients, but I didn't expect this year's students to be so disappointing. If you are so restrained, can you still become the #1 candidate in the country? Zhang Tian sighed and looked at Shui Ruyan. Fortunately, classmate Shui just got smart and helped me think of a good excuse. But what should I do next? How can I control the points? Shouldn't I just kill these aliens? That's not possible. The fire frog tribe and fire fish tribe taste pretty good. I don't know when I'll come over next time. I'm still thinking of stocking up on more ingredients. Shui Ruyan thought about it for a while, but there was no good solution for a while. Wait a minute. Zhang Tian's eyes suddenly lit up, as if he thought of something. Zhang Tian shook his hand and gestured to the space ring on it. Isn't this a gift from you? Since the accumulation of military merit points, it is the military merit card that induces killing of foreign races. Isn't it okay if I throw the military merit card into the space ring and don't sense it? The method Zhang Tian came up with also made Shui Ruyan tap her forehead. It is indeed an obvious method. Why didn't I think of it just now? I ignored it. Since we want to control the points, wouldn't it be better to just find a way to invalidate the calculation of military merit points? Zhang Tian was also lucky to have this gift from Shui Ruyan. Otherwise, he really didn't know what to do. In order to ensure nothing went wrong, Zhang Tian and Shui Ruyan immediately went deep into the base to look for alien enemies. Zhang Tian and Shui Ruyan were very lucky. Not far from the base, they discovered the alien scout team. Several fire frogs were wearing light armor and jumping around quickly, seeming to be patrolling something. After Zhang Tian put the general's merit card into the space ring, he rushed in the direction of the Fire Frog clan. The patrolling Fire Frog tribe not far away quickly spotted Zhang Tian rushing toward them. However, when they saw Zhang Tian's appearance clearly, they all stared with frog eyes and began to scream. They kept barking, their faces showed panic, and they turned around and tried to run away. Because they saw the terrifying human race in the past portrait, the frog-eating devil. According to the content of the intelligence, this human race demon king is inhumane. The fire frog tribe caught by him will have a very miserable fate and will be eaten alive by the opponent. Even the captured fire frogs were still alive before being eaten, and they could clearly feel their body parts being chewed up by this human race, and the sound was very clear. Almost overnight, the legend of this frog-eating devil was spread among the surrounding tribes. This is why the fire frogs fled in a hurry after seeing Jiang Tian, fearing that they would be too late. It's a pity that these fire frog clan scouts may have good strength and fast speed, but they were not able to escape Jiang Tian's clutches. When Jiang Tian caught up with the fire frogs, a black dragon kitchen knife suddenly appeared in his hand. With the knife in his hand, he chopped off the heads of these fire frogs. Susu. There was sudden movement from the side. When Jiang Tian turned his head and looked over, he discovered that there was actually a fire frog clan team in the distance. In addition, there are also scouts from the firefish tribe following. Boom! The firefish tribe seemed to be frightened. It flapped its tail, turned around, jumped up, jumped into the river behind them, and swam away. The fire frogs who were scouting the team farther away jumped far away with their legs tensed, and soon disappeared from Jiang Tian's sight. Jiang Tian also wanted to try his own method, so he did not chase the alien who ran away. Shui Ruyan on the side came over and watched Jiang Tian take out his tactical phone and stared at the content displayed on the screen. Sure enough, the military points did not jump. The space ring successfully blocked the induction of the military merit card, and there would be no reaction when killing aliens. But there is another problem. There are monitoring equipment and monitoring arrays. Student Zhang has been killing foreigners, but the number of military merit points is very small. It's not easy to hide it from people. Shui Ruyan knew very well what kind of person her aunt was. If she knew the details of Jiang Tian, she would keep it a secret for him. But what about the other members of the examination team? It's hard to say. What's more, this is Jiang Tian's secret. Since the other party also believes in her, she has the responsibility to help him keep the secret. Even if it is his aunt, it is one thing for him to trust her, but it does not mean that Jiang Tian must trust her. Therefore, even if the examination team observes the examination process, it must be kept secret. At the bottom of the pool. At this time, Jiang Tian suddenly spoke and looked at Shui Ruyan. You deceived the examiner earlier, we can definitely follow it. Indeed, Jiang Tian still has to hunt more fire frogs and firefish to prepare as food. Since they don't want others to see them, wouldn't they just go to a place where others can't see them? Wouldn't it be nice to dive into the bottom of the pool? Monitoring equipment and monitoring arrays have already consumed a lot of resources and effort for this martial arts college entrance examination, and it is rare to find land that can cover the scope of the examination. Jiang Tian didn't believe it. Could there be monitoring equipment on the plane under the water in this pool? Good idea, this is a way. Shui Ruyan nodded, agreeing with Jiang Tian's approach. She is a chi practitioner, so if she wants to go underwater and isolate herself from the current, it won't be a big problem. If it's a real fight, maybe the time you can hold out is limited. But if she was just hunting for ingredients, she didn't need to worry at all. After all, Jiang Tian was by her side. Besides, fighting under the water of the pond should be more effective in tempering oneself. Jiang Tian looked at Shui Ruyan and analyzed it. Shui Ruyan's talent is actually not bad, and her awakened profession is a chi refiner. So if she could follow her to the bottom of the pool, like Huangxing and Guo Qihong, it would be a bit worse. If Jiang Tian proposed to go to the bottom of the pool with these two people, they would not be able to follow him. If that's the case, my progress will be faster. Shui Ruyan's eyes lit up after hearing Jiang Tian's words. After all, my talent is getting stronger as I fight. If I am in a battle, I will improve my control over myself and use 100% of my strength. Moreover, this kind of control ability can also help me control my own situation more easily during my practice. This is why after eating classmate Yang's food, I was able to utilize my blood gas at such a high rate. When the blood source room was under the right pressure, I improved faster. Shui Ruyan's sudden words made Jiang Tian look at him. Is this your talent? I was originally thinking of telling you sometime so that it wouldn't be too abrupt, but now is a good opportunity. In fact, the problem of talent exposure is not too big, but many people still like to hide it as much as possible. Shui Ruyan told Jiang Tian frankly, which was also the result of mutual trust. After a moment of silence, the two of them looked at each other and smiled. In that case, let's get started. Jiang Tian smiled, walked forward and led the way, taking Shui Ruyan a little further with him. It didn't take long for the two of them to arrive at a relatively wide lake. Seeing the hot pool water, Jiang Tian took the first step and jumped in. He is stronger, so it makes sense to explore the way ahead. On the side, Shui Ruyan jumped into the lake with blood all over her body. The boiling water in the pool will cause ordinary people to peel off their skin. However, after Shui Ruyan fell into the pool, she found that the situation seemed to be much better than she imagined. It seemed that it was because she ate too many red pig dishes cooked by Jiang Tian, and the luminous quality of the dishes made her skin change. The benefits of this are that one's own defense is improved, the skin is tougher, and it seems that both heat and cold resistance are improved. In ordinary life, there seems to be no problem. After entering the scalding pool water and the surrounding temperature increased, Shui Ruyan's instincts were stimulated and the temperature did not feel so scalding. In addition, with the blood surrounding his whole body, the situation was better than imagined. After entering the first level of awakening, you can hold your breath for a long time. In addition, Shui Ruyan used blood energy to create a layer on the surface of the body, allowing some air inside. In this way, she can move freely at the bottom of the pool for 2 hours. If there is a battle with a foreign race, the time will probably be shortened to about 1 hour depending on the intensity of the fight. Entering the hot pool water, Shui Ruyan immediately felt the benefits. The need to maintain blood energy and the scorching high temperature all around would bring an invisible pressure to her all the time. This kind of pressure allows her to enter a state similar to combat, stimulate her own talents, and improve her control. The blood energy digested from the food she had eaten in the morning became clearer at this moment, and was used by her to refine and temper her body. The pool actually allows me to practice and move at the same time. The benefits are much more than I imagined, Shui Ruyan thought to herself. At the same time, she turned her head and looked to the side, wanting to see Jiang Tian's state. But he found that Jiang Tianzheng was looking around curiously. His whole body was soaked in water, and there was no blood covering his whole body. This scene made Shui Ruyan look a little stunned. Judging from the current situation, Jiang Tian was clearly resisting the high temperature in the pool with his body. The strength of this kind of body far exceeded Shui Ruyan's imagination. In addition, Shui Ruyan was also very curious, could Jiang Tian hold his breath like this? If so, how long can it last? Soon, Shui Ruyan shook her head and no longer wanted to worry about this issue. According to her deduction, Jiang Tian must be able to persist longer than herself. When Shui Ruyan was thinking about it, she saw Jiang Tian waving towards her and pointing forward, gesturing for her to follow. Afterwards, Jiang Tian took the lead and swam towards the depths of the lake ahead, while Shui Ruyan also followed up with the other party by undulating the water. As the two of them continued to approach the bottom of the pool, the surroundings gradually became darker. He had to rely on the faint light from Shui Ruyan's burning blood to illuminate the surrounding situation. However, the closer you get to the bottom of the lake, the less clearly you can see your surroundings. Boom! At this moment, Shui Ruyan suddenly noticed that the surroundings were much brighter. After taking a closer look, he discovered that Jiang Tian's whole body in front of him was suddenly burning violently, illuminating his surroundings. And when Jiang Tian burned his blood, the temperature of the lake water surrounding his body was obviously rising. Even Shui Ruyan couldn't help but retreat a little, because she could feel some tingling on her skin. It can be seen how terrifying the bloody flames ignited all over Jiang Tian's body are. After Jiang Tian's body was filled with blood, he saw a shadow similar to a building at the bottom of the lake in the distance. A happy look appeared on Jiang Tian's face, and after waving towards Shui Ruyan, his body slightly showed a swooping posture. Then, blood-colored flames suddenly burst out from the palms of his hands. Shui Ruyan, who was not far away, just watched Jiang Tian use this method to launch himself. The speed was very fast, and Shui Ruyan hurriedly swam to keep up. She can't learn this method. The richness of blood energy in Jiang Tian's body is far beyond what others imagine. The simplest point is when he was studying dishes at home before the martial arts college entrance examination. From morning to night, Jiang Tian was constantly burning his blood and cooking dishes. Such terrifying endurance and such rich blood energy could support Jiang Tian to launch himself like this. Jiang Tian was very fast, like a human torpedo, rushing straight towards the building complex ahead. At this moment, in the buildings below, some fire frogs are constantly busy, packing their luggage and belongings. because they have already received the news from the scout team. The frog-eating demon king has appeared and is coming towards them. It was best to move away quickly, otherwise Izuku might bump into each other and lose his life. But when many fire frogs were packing their luggage, they suddenly felt something lighting up above them. One by one, the fire frogs raised their heads and looked in the direction above. Why are bolides falling in the water? Gudong. A dull sound of collision suddenly emerged, and the dust at the bottom of the lake scattered in all directions and turned into a ball of soil at the bottom of the water. However, this soil mass was illuminated, and there was a shadow inside. Soon these fire frogs could clearly see that the shadow was rising, and they slowly stood up. When the figure with the light of fire came out, each of the fire frogs were frozen in place, unable to move, as if they had been hit with a body-holding technique. Very simple. The figure that suddenly appeared in front of him was clearly a young man from the human race. Moreover, it is the same as the previously circulated portrait, and is no different from the rumors. With a devilish smile, he held the terrifying black dragon sword in his hand, and looked at them with a very coveted expression. The frog-eating devil appears. And they were still bathed in demon-like flames, appearing at the bottom of the pool where they lived. Moreover, these fire frogs were very horrified to find that the water in this pool was so hot that humans generally found it difficult to endure it. The frog-eating devil in front of him was not only able to endure the scalding temperature of the water, but when he came closer, why was it that even the fire frog tribe couldn't bear the temperature of the water? Some fire frogs, I wonder if it is an illusion. After the frog-eating devil appeared, they seemed to be approaching in the direction of being cooked. Is this the fire frog tribe? After Zhang Tian came to the bottom of the pool, he looked around and clearly saw the layout of these buildings. It's very simple. It's just a few big rocks from the bottom of the lake piled together to form a house. Zhang Tian could even see some decorations that seemed to be being cleaned up by these fire frogs. The decorations were bones, and Zhang Tian could also identify them. These bones should come from human race. There are even a lot of bones, which look small at first glance. Will the chef be angry? Of course, chefs are human beings too, so how could they not be angry? Especially when seeing these ingredients, they actually held human bones as decorations. Zhang Tian is also a normal person, and he also has anger. And his anger turned into a bloody flame that burned violently all over his body. At this moment, the bloody flames in Zhang Tian's body roared crazily as the physical furnace in his body was ignited. Boom! A violent roar exploded under the pool. The water around Zhang Tian evaporated at the moment of the explosion of blood, forming a hollow. The violent air pressure burst out, squeezing the surrounding water flow and spreading into the distance, forming waves on the seabed. This wave of water pushed Shui Ruyan, who had just approached here, some distance away. At the same time, she looked at Zhang Tian under the pool in surprise, feeling the aura, and her heart trembled slightly. After the awakening assessment, Shui Ruyan once again saw Zhang Tian explode with all his strength. It's just that this time's all-out explosion, the terrifying strength displayed far exceeded the last time. Even when Shui Ruyan looked at Zhang Tian, although she was not emotionally afraid, her body's biological instinct of fear would still emerge. Goosebumps appeared on my skin, my hair stood on end, and my breathing was almost disrupted. At the bottom of the pool, after the fire frogs were swept away for a distance, they looked at Zhang Tian, whose whole body was burning with fierce flames, and was approaching here. Everyone was so frightened that they kept flapping their frog legs and trying to escape. Want to escape? Zhang Tian frowned, with a hint of irritation in his heart. Ingredients should be on the table, how dare you escape? Thinking of this, Zhang Tian suddenly spread his hands and pointed forward. Boom! Massive amounts of bloody flames spurted out from Zhang Tian's palm, as if a fire dragon emerged from the bottom of the water. The gushing underwater fire dragon instantly raised the temperature of the water at the bottom of the pool to a complete boil. The fire frog clan, swept away by the boiling pool water and scalding flames, instantly let out a shrill scream, but soon lost their breath. On the contrary, in this pool of water, Shui Ruyan could see that there seemed to be some fat from the broth. Obviously, Zhang Tian's attack did more than just kill these fire frogs. And, Shui Ruyan thought for a while, and if she had to describe the state of these fire frogs, she would borrow a word from cooking to process ingredients, it's called Boiled water. The flames gushing from Jiang Tian swept over, killing and injuring 7 or 8 of these fire frogs. Only a few were on the edge of the flames and escaped from disaster. These fire frogs escaped quickly, and 2 others ran in the direction of Shui Ruyan. Seeing this, how could Shui Ruyan let go of such an opportunity, and went to kill him with the spear in his hand. As expected, it was very difficult to kill enemies under the water. Even the Fire Frog clan had been frightened by Jiang Tian. But the fire frogs also knew that if they didn't quickly deal with the human woman in front of them, they would definitely die. Therefore, he is more ruthless when he takes action, which is equivalent to stimulating his potential and improving his combat power a lot. But the time Shui Ruyan followed Jiang Tian was not wasted. In fact, her real combat power far exceeded Leng Hao. She is actually number 1 in Southern Province. Of course Jiang Tian is not included, he is already an irrational existence. In terms of strength judgment, Shui Ruyan has directly ignored Jiang Tian. Poof! When Jiang Tian started to collect the blanched fire frogs, Shui Ruyan was already carrying 2 fire frogs with their heads pierced. Seeing Shui Ruyan's trophy, Jiang Tian couldn't help but give a thumbs up. He harvested the ingredients, and she improved her strength and accumulated combat experience. A very perfect harvest. After Jiang Tian and Shui Ruyan searched the bottom of the pool for a while, they surfaced and left, preparing to go to the next pool. After diving into the next pool, Jiang Tian and Shui Ruyan discovered 2 more tribes. Both tribes were very small, so Jiang Tian didn't take much action. He just passed by and let Shui Ruyan fight. Jiang Tian also saw the speed of Shui Ruyan's progress, and deeply felt that Shui Ruyan's awakening talent was very powerful. Fight to support fighting, and improve your strength in the process of constant fighting. Even in many dangerous moments, Shui Ruyan can turn danger into safety, as if he was enlightened at that moment. This scene made Jiang Tian sigh with emotion. Shui Ruyan was simply a born warrior. Likewise, Shui Ruyan felt very grateful to Jiang Tian deep in her heart. Because she knew very well that it was because Jiang Tian was guarding her that she could enjoy the battle without any distractions and improve her strength. After cleaning up the 2 tribes at the bottom of the pool, Jiang Tian and Shui Ruyan came up again and found a good place. Jiang Tian began to cook the dishes, while Shui Ruyan helped to recover from the fatigue after the battle. However, Jiang Tian still doesn't know how much influence he will have on this martial arts college entrance examination. Especially about his test point. While Jiang Tian and Shui Ruyan were still resting, the situation about the frog-eating demon king had been passed on to each tribe. Almost every fire frog and fire fish tribe felt very panicked. Especially when we learned from the survivors that the frog-eating devil could descend to the bottom of the pond and slaughter the entire tribe. Even with one move, most of the tribe's members were cooked. This is to eat them on the spot. Almost instantly, every tribe around them felt like a great terror had enveloped them. Escape, migrate. This was the idea of the nearby fire frog and fire fish tribes. They no longer ignored the fire feather tribe's ban, and all began to flee towards the interior of the small world of Wotang. Although they violated the rules, they did not want to face the frog-eating devil compared to the punishment of the fire feather tribe. Within the examination area, the alien tribes began to flee for their lives. As time passed, the exam on the second day gradually came to an end. The regular army troops did not return to the base, but camped outside. Because there are enough people, people can be arranged to be on duty. But members who move freely are naturally not so lucky. Jiang Tian and Shui Ruyan returned to the base and spent a lot of military merit points to exchange for direct accommodation and other benefits. After resting comfortably all night, Jiang Tian and Shui Ruyan were not in a hurry to leave until the next day. Instead, spend the morning digesting what you gained yesterday. Jiang Tian studied the dishes, while Shui Ruyan practiced for a while and sharpened herself. At this time, there was a knock on the door, and Huang Xing came outside. As soon as he entered the door, Huang Xing shouted, "Something big happened." Huang Xing was followed by Guo Qihong. The 2 of them had serious expressions as soon as they entered, as if something big had happened. After entering, the 2 of them saw Jiang Tian busy in front of his special stove, and the tantalizing aroma was flowing this way. Gulu. Just smelling the aroma, the 2 of them couldn't help but swallow their saliva and moved towards the stove. Stay away, don't get in the way. Zhang Tian waved his hands towards the two of them and continued busy. If you have something to talk about, what happened to make you two make a fuss? And why did you come back? If I remember correctly, your first move seemed to last for 3 days, right? Zhang Tian asked the two of them while gently stirring the soup with a spatula. It's only been 3 days, but something started to go wrong yesterday. Today, the captain brought everyone back. Huang Xing couldn't help but said, there is no trace of the alien race. I haven't seen the Fire Frog clan or the Fire Fish clan at all. It stands to reason that there are a lot of fire frogs and fire fish in the small world of Wotang. We even went deep into the front, reaching the junction of the battlefield and the edge of the examination range. As a result, there was no sign of the Fire Frog clan and Fire Fish clan at all. It was as if they were all missing. I heard from other teams that they saw the shadows of the Fire Frog tribe and the Fire Fish tribe, but they immediately ran away from a distance. While escaping, he kept screaming and banging, as if we humans were scary. As Huang Xing spoke, he couldn't help but sigh. So far, my military merit points are only 1, which is still the basic guarantee for missions. Guo Qihong next to him also added, this situation will definitely affect the results of our students in this examination center. After all, the source of military merit points is gone, how can we take the exam? In addition, when we came back, we also heard the news that the Fire Feather clan seemed to be dispatched, and a large army was pressing down on the border. When Guo Qihong talked about this place, his expression became mysterious. You know, before the exam, the people in the examination team cleared the Wotang little world in advance. The main force of the regular army stationed here has already fought head-on with the Fire Feather tribe's army. They occupied the top and forced the opponent back. The Fire Frog tribe and Fire Fish tribe who are still within the examination range are considered abandoned sons and cannon fodder of the Fire Feather tribe. They are left here for investigation. These aliens who stay here are also thinking about collecting intelligence and using the water and land to make meritorious deeds. We keep these aliens and assign the cleaning tasks to us students as a project for the martial arts college entrance examination. This situation can be regarded as mutual use. Who would have thought that such a big change would happen? The Fire Feather tribe army pressed forward again, and the Fire Frog tribe and Fire Fish tribe within the examination area actually escaped. After Guo Qihong said this, Huang Xing clapped his hands next to him. Who says it's not true? During training, all the veterans in our team said it. These Fire Frogs and Fire Fish clan don't dare to retreat. If you go back without the Fire Feather clan's permission, you will be severely punished. But I don't know what happened. These Fire Frogs and Fire Fish seem to be frightened and would rather escape than be punished. The words of the two people made Zhang Tian wonder, this is really strange. The alien tribes called the Fire Frog clan and the Fire Fish clan are actually so greedy for life and afraid of death. If this continues, what will happen to the exam? Shui Ruyan also looked solemn when she heard what the two said. Within the scope of the examination, the regular army was dispatched with veterans leading them, but the Fire Frog and Fire Fish tribe could not be found. The Fire Feather clan, the race that truly dominates the small world of Wotang, actually has a large army coming over. This is no joke. The two races, the Fire Frog tribe and the Fire Fish tribe, are lower-ranking races of the Fire Feather tribe. They have strong reproductive capabilities, but their strength is also low and their upper limit is very low. It is rare for the strongest Fire Frog clan and Fire Fish clan to reach level 2. As for the third level Fire Frog clan and Fire Fish clan, they are the heads of the entire clan of the two clans and will not be in such an area close to the human base. Clan leaders with level 3 strength will live in the territory of their superior race, the Fire Feather clan. But the Fire Feather tribe is different. This alien race has reached the first level of awakening when it comes to adulthood, and the average strength of the warriors of this alien army is at the second level of cultivation level. In the small world behind the level 2 space-time gate, the average strength of the alien army soldiers has reached level 2, which is already very powerful. The generals in the alien army are almost at the third level of strength, and the Fire Feathers who command the army can reach the fourth level. This is only the comprehensive strength of the opponent's army. After all, it is just a small world under the Red Realm. It is good to have such a level. Just taking it out, Wotang small world seems not surprising. But what the human race has to face is not this time and space gate, but a mere small world. The small world of fire soup is just one of the many small worlds faced by the human race. Although there are foreign allies, they are too few in number, and the real reason for the human race's predicament is that they are all enemies. Having said that, is this actual combat assessment of the martial arts college entrance examination going to turn into a real war? I really don't understand. What are the fire frog and fire fish tribe running from? Huang Xing shook his head and muttered to Guo Qihong next to him, what do they have to be afraid of? Guo Qihong touched his chin. I don't know. The fire frog tribe and the fire fish tribe are intelligent but not clever. The race's style is also straightforward. Those who stay in the examination area will only find ways to fight with our human race. Huang Xing spread his hands and said, unless natural enemies of these two tribes suddenly appeared in this small world of fire and soup, and frightened them. Guo Qihong shook his head. Don't talk nonsense. The small world of Wotang is a starry sky road. According to the data, it is a road hanging in the starry sky in time and space. How could a natural enemy suddenly appear? Speaking of which, Lao Yang's soup is very fragrant. Huang Xing swallowed again and stared at the pot. Guo Qihong also nodded. Is this the Fire Frog clan's new frog meat dish? There seems to be something else in it, and it doesn't look like frog meat. Those are fish fillets cut from the fire fish tribe. Let's try to put them together today to see how they taste. Zhang Tian continued to stir gently with a spatula and said, it will be ready later. Let's eat some together. Wait until you're full and then think about the exam. Huang Xing and Guo Qihong nodded happily, but as they stared at the pot and laughed, they gradually realized something was wrong. The smiles on their faces gradually turned into shock, and when they looked at each other, Huang Xing and Guo Qihong raised their hands and pointed at each other at the same time, showing expressions of realization. Oh. They seemed to understand who the natural enemy discussed earlier might be. The two of them seemed to understand why the Fire Frog clan and Fire Fish clan were afraid, frightened, and desperate to escape. Even if the Fire Frog and Fire Fish tribe are a little stupid, they can still feel the horror of being treated as food, right? Good guy. He single-handedly changed the battlefield pattern and effected the martial arts college entrance examination. As expected of you, old Zhang. At the dining table in the courtyard, everyone was tasting the delicious food in front of them. While eating and chatting, the content was naturally the same as before. The sudden change in the test points, what is happening now, could it be caused by Zhang Tian? These are just speculations. There is no definite evidence, so it's better not to talk nonsense. Shui Ruyan looked at Huang Xing and Guo Qihong with a serious face. She was worried that if such a topic was spread, it would not be good to Zhang Tian. It's not that I'm worried that other students will blame Zhang Tian for this, but that this kind of thing has too much aura. Zhang Tian himself has to keep a low profile, and his goal is to win the provincial #1 prize. After all, the rewards for being the provincial champion are not much different from those for being ranked first in the country, and they can also make others stand out. What's more, as Shui Ruyan said, all this is just speculation. After eating and drinking, Zhang Tian and Shui Ruyan also set off, preparing to leave the base and go outside to see if the situation was really gone. The two of them left. Huang Xing and Guo Qihong naturally didn't want to stay in the yard and followed them out. The two followed Zhang Tian and Shui Ruyan, preparing to send them away from the base. But when they arrived at the so-called free movement area, they were told that the situation outside the base had changed and that all students were not allowed to go out. After learning the news, the four people looked at each other, a little surprised. Has the situation deteriorated to the point where you can't even leave the base? Seeing that they could not leave the base, Zhang Tian and the others returned the same way, preparing to go to the square in the middle of the base. The purpose of this temporarily open square is very simple, it is to provide a place for these students to communicate. It is also a martial arts arena for sparring. Some students will ask veterans from the regular army to help hone their skills. Of course, the help is not free, and a certain reward will be given. Some veterans saw these students and children and were willing to practice with them. It's very fun to make some extra money and torture these students. In addition, they can also be regarded as providing some insignificant help to the new blood of the future of the human race. Most of the veterans of the regular army stationed in the small world of Wotang like them have limited talents, exhausted their potential, and have no way to improve. If you are lucky, you can use your military merit to exchange for merit points and some needed training resources to improve your realm further. If you really can't, you can only try your best to survive and save some resources for your children and future generations. Passed down from generation to generation, protected and inherited from generation to generation, endless. It is this spirit that allows the human race to persevere until now. Zhang Tian and his group of 4 were walking here, but gradually they discovered something was wrong. Are they looking at me? Zhang Tian asked Shui Ruyan next to him. He even wondered if it was his delusion. After all, it seemed too narcissistic to say so. Shui Ruyan nodded and felt strange. It seems that many people are really looking at you. Huang Xing and Guo Qihong also looked at each other, wondering what was going on. Zhang Tian, the noise you made is really big. At this time, a familiar voice came. Zhang Tian turned around and looked over and found that the person coming was an acquaintance. The Bai brothers and sisters from Yuxi No. 1 Middle School were walking over, followed by many students from No. 1 Middle School. In addition, some students from U City and No. 14 Middle School gathered together. The expressions they looked at Zhang Tian were very complicated, and many of them hesitated to speak. What's the commotion? Zhang Tian looked at Bai Zunren who had spoken out in confusion. I don't seem to have done anything special. What's the commotion? Over there, Bai Zunli curled her lips and said, nothing has happened yet. Something happened to our test center this time, and it's because of you. Look, what is this? Bai Zunren took out an object without asking any questions. The thing in Bai Zunren's hand was a special kind of paper, which looked a little smooth. This is oil paper produced by the alien fire frog tribe and fire fish tribe, and an unknown fuel is used to draw patterns on it. I have to say that the technique of this alien is quite amazing. The painting is exquisite and very accurate. The portrait is clearly that of Zhang Tian. This is your portrait. It has a foreign language and has been translated by scholars in the base. It says that you are a frog-eating devil, a fish-eating devil, and a human demon. If I meet you, I will be eaten alive. It will be terrible. All tribes evacuate as soon as possible to avoid being brutally attacked. After Bai Zunren finished speaking, he looked at Zhang Tian curiously. Is everything mentioned here true? You can actually eat aliens alive. Although the other portraits we found have different descriptions, they are all similar. Will the smell of blood be strong, and will the taste be very creamy? Isn't alien meat poisonous? How can you eat it? Is your talent invulnerable to all poisons? The students around him couldn't help it anymore when they saw someone starting to speak, and they all started asking Zhang Tian. There was no way. The Zhang Tian in front of them was now simply a legend in the eyes of their classmates in U City. At the moment, the other party is so famous that it has directly suppressed the limelight of the top geniuses from the 4 major universities in that provincial city. Could they not be curious? As a result, something went wrong in their exams. They left the base to take action but could not find the originator of the strange alien incident. The real reason behind this is that this man can eat aliens alive and scare away the fire frog and fire fish tribes. I heard that it was precisely because of Zhang Tian's behavior that the Fire Feather clan was shocked, and the other party also guessed that their martial arts college entrance examination was a special move for the human race. Only then did the army press forward, wanting to take advantage of this opportunity to cause some trouble for the human race. Even if they can't achieve any results, they still want to make the human race feel uncomfortable and disgusting. Although it sounds ridiculous, this is a foreign race, cruel and unreasonable, and does not act according to common sense. When Huang Xing and Guo Qihong heard this, they looked at each other with smiles on their faces. Look, what did they start saying? Shui Ruyan also rubbed her forehead. Has the matter reached this point? Moreover, she really didn't expect that this alien race was so crazy that he would even draw a portrait to pass on information. I'm afraid these paintings are also left behind by these alien races who ran away in a hurry. The students in U City all gathered around Zhang Tian asking questions, which made his head feel dizzy. The other students in the distance looked sideways at this side, looking in the direction of Zhang Tian and others, their eyes flickering. They are also curious about what the truth is. But there is one thing, at least everyone knows. Zhang Tian, a candidate in the same class as them, single-handedly made the two aliens so scared that they all ran away. Although these aliens who ran away were nothing more than cannon fodder and abandoned sons, they were still impressed by Jiang Tian's strength. All candidates, please pay attention. At this time, within the base, the loudspeaker based on the formation method transmitted Shui Xiao's voice. This shout attracted the attention of all the students. All the candidates in various places within the base looked up when they heard the sound of the loudspeaker. It seems that the plan for handling the number 1 examination center in Shaanxi for this martial arts college entrance examination will be announced next. Due to special circumstances, an accident occurred in the number 1 martial arts college entrance examination. After reviewing the situation and reporting to superiors, we have the latest solution. First, the martial arts college entrance examination assessment time for candidates at the number 1 test site will be extended by 5 days. Second, change the scope of the examination to allow candidates at test site number 1 to participate in the frontal battlefield and conduct auxiliary combat. Third, because the difficulty of the frontal battlefield has increased, the number of escort examiners has been increased. The above are the adjustment results of the number 1 examination center in the southern province of the Tang National Martial Arts College entrance examination. After the voice from the loudspeaker finished speaking, students in the entire base began to talk about it, and the venue seemed very noisy. But soon, Shui Xiao's voice came from the loudspeaker again, causing all the students to gradually quiet down. This time such an accident occurred in our martial arts college entrance examination. If it were placed on the battlefield of a foreign race, it would not be called an accident. Because no one knows whether a new space-time gate will suddenly appear on the territory of our human race. No one knows where enemy reinforcements will appear on the battlefield. This time you have to face a real battlefield instead of a controlled practical exam. The risks will be great, but if you seize the opportunity, your results will be better. Experiencing this battlefield will add a lot of color to your resume, which will have unexpected benefits for your subsequent college career. But at the same time, I need to remind you that you are still very young, don't act on impulse, and cherish your own life. Don't go to the main battlefield. Pick coolies like the Fire Frog tribe and Fire Fish tribe. This is your goal. These words have been remembered by many students. At the same time, many people began to become nervous, excited and very scared. Originally, the actual combat exam was much more dangerous than the safety exam. Take a look at Lang Hao's team from Shaanxi High School. One of the team members was seriously injured. If they hadn't been treated in time, their lives would have been lost. Although relying on the medical conditions in the base, they can recover and join the battle before the end of the exam. But if you lag behind for so long, your results will definitely be greatly compromised. But this time, it has been upgraded to a higher level than the actual combat examination, and it has to face a real alien battlefield. Throughout the base, all students were discussing what to do next. Jiang Tian also told Huangxing and Guo Qihong to be more careful and not to act too recklessly. The two of them also reassured Jiang Tian and left the team looking for him first. Since the exams at their test centers have been changed and improved, the regular army they join will definitely also undergo certain changes. After the two left, Shui Ruyan also said that she would go back to the yard first. She needs to adjust her condition as soon as possible so that she can display her strongest combat power when she goes out tomorrow. Jiang Tian nodded, his eyes twinkling. Fire Feather Tribe. Originally, after knowing the scope of the exam and based on the information, Jiang Tian was a little disappointed. After all, there would be almost no Fire Feather tribe within the examination area. If he could not hunt down the Fire Feather clan, the recipes he had prepared in advance and the exercises he had prepared in advance would be in vain. But this change meant that he was able to hunt down the Fire Feather clan and add to his food reserves. Thinking of this, Jiang Tian couldn't help but poke his hands in anticipation. Monitoring room. Shui Xiao, who had finished speaking earlier, had already brought the members of the examination group to the tactical map. On the projected tactical map, the terrain of the entire Wotang small world was displayed. Above, it is also shown in the direction of the invading Fire Feather clan army. Although there is a small character in the name of Wotang small world, it does not mean that it is really very small. There are 3 time and space gates in the entire small world of Wotang that are connected to the human world. The #1 test center in Southern Province is just one of them. The 3 time and space gates are not close to each other, about hundreds of kilometers away from each other. The bases of the 3 time and space gates appear in a line. And this time the Firefeather clan's army that came to press on the border faced their base. In fact, there are 3 lines of defense in front of the base. Because of the special landform and developed water system of the small world of Wotang, the 3 lines of defense mainly focus on the Firefeather tribe. The 2 cannon fodders, coolies, and vassals of the Firefeather clan, such as the Fire Frog clan and the Firefish clan, can sneak in through the developed water system. Fortunately, the overall strength of these 2 races is far inferior to that of the Firefeathers, so they do not need to spend too much energy on defense. Just let the army of soldiers patrol and train troops by the way. However, when the Firefeather tribe's army pressed forward, the Fire Frog tribe and Firefish tribe were still very troublesome. They can always live underwater, so during a big battle, the main defense line is on guard. These 2 races will take the opportunity to cause trouble, and many warriors will lose their lives due to the sneak attacks of these 2 races. The task assigned by Shui Xiao at this moment is to let the people from the examination team help keep an eye on the innermost line of defense. The students' test content area is in this area. The 3rd line of defense has the widest range, and is also the area where the Fire Frog and Firefish tribes are active. In addition, the overall strength of these 2 tribes is not strong enough, and the candidates of the 1st level Awakening Realm cannot match the frontal combat power of these 2 tribes. The candidates for this martial arts college entrance examination are a new force that can help relieve a lot of pressure on the regular army stationed here. In this way, some of the personnel on the 3rd line of defense can be released to support the 2nd line of defense and the 1st line of defense. The students can complete the martial arts college entrance examination, and the regular army stationed in the small world of Wotang can also take the opportunity to interact with the Firefeather clan. When everything was almost discussed, someone suddenly said, "Team leader Shui, do you want to keep a special eye on this candidate Zhang Tian?" As soon as these words came out, the atmosphere suddenly became quiet. When it comes to Zhang Tian, everyone's mood is very complicated. After all, the source of all this is actually Zhang Tian. In fact, their examination group received negotiations from the Firefeather clan. Their army is pressing down on the territory, just to make the human race hand over this human race called Zhang Tian. According to the Firefeather clan, this Zhang Tian was too insulting to the aliens from their Wotang small world. Not only did they kill, but they also wanted to devour them, which made their vassal race, the Frogfish, panic. The person must be handed over. Otherwise, fight. Ridiculous. When the Firefeather clan proposed this condition, they completely angered the defenders on the defensive line. No need to report, they directly launched a surprise attack on the flank of the Firefeather tribe's army. After killing 17 Firefeather clan warriors with quick actions, he immediately left the scene. The human race uses the blood of the enemy to tell the Firefeather race. No way. Although the defender did not understand why the Firefeather tribe proposed such a strange negotiation. But these defenders knew that this was a candidate taking the martial arts college entrance examination. The young people of the human race, the seedlings of the future. As a warrior guarding the human race, how could he give up the future of the human race? Kill. Not only the defenders, but also the examination team reported the situation and received the same response. Since the other party wants to fight, then fight. It seemed like they were just handing over a human student. In fact, this is asking the human race to surrender their bottom line. Faced with such a provocation, the human race naturally had to give an answer. It's just that the written letter regarding this answer must be written with the blood of the Firefeather clan. In the small world of Wotang, the head-on battle between the human race and the Firefeather race began. It is against this background that the martial arts college entrance examination continues, and the exam pattern has also changed. But this time the restructuring of the martial arts college entrance examination will greatly increase the difficulty for students who can move freely. After all, the next main area of activity will be near the 3rd line of defense. The 3rd line of defense is far away from the base of the time and space gate, and they cannot set up camp like the regular army. The only thing you can do is rely on yourself. You have to go to great lengths to find an extremely safe place and take turns guarding it. Unlike the previous martial arts college entrance examination, I could return to the base to rest midway. Next, they can only carry out operations for several days at a time and earn enough military merit points before they can take a breath and return to the base to rest for a night before continuing. The risk increases, but you can still earn more military merit points and get better results in the exam. Moreover, as Shui Xiao, the leader of the examination team, said, this time the changes in the martial arts college entrance examination are a good opportunity for the students taking this exam. Even if they really face such a battlefield, they can still get a certain degree of safety. In the future, it is very rare to have such a practical opportunity. This kind of battle is also a very valuable experience for them. It is also an important experience. At least compared to some students in the same class, their experience in participating in real alien wars has already surpassed others by a large margin. When applying for college, these will be recorded in the file and are important bonus points. The next day, a new day has begun, and the regular troops in the base have led the students towards the third line of defense. And those top students who chose to move freely had already formed a team and left, waiting in advance for the appearance of regular troops. Although they cannot join the ranks of the regular army, they can at least move forward together not far from the large ranks and learn from experience. Zhang Tian and Shui Ruyan had also set off, but instead of following the large group, they chose to go alone. According to the guidance on the tactical map, Zhang Tian and Shui Ruyan chose a route to go. Just like the dilemma at the beginning of this martial arts college entrance examination, within the scope of this martial arts college entrance examination, there are really no fire frogs and fire fish tribes. Occasionally, Zhang Tian would choose to dive into the bottom of the pool to see what was going on. All that can be seen is the empty bottom of the pool and the somewhat messy alien tribe's residence. Even on the way to the front line of defense, Zhang Tian and Shui Ruyan were strangely able to find portraits. Above, it is Zhang Tian's appearance, as well as the words of the Fire Frog clan and the Fire Fish clan. The content is probably what Bai Zunren said at the beginning. However, when they left the scope of the examination and gradually approached the third line of defense, some traces of the Fire Frog clan and Fire Fish clan gradually began to appear. These fire frogs and fire fish appeared near the water system near the third line of defense, and they obviously had to be more careful in their actions. Moreover, judging from the aura, these fire frogs and fire fish are not weak in strength, and can be regarded as the more powerful ones in the first level. He is also wearing armor, and it is more refined, and the quality of the heavy fork he holds in his hand is also much better. Obviously, the overall level of this batch of fire frogs and fire fish tribes is better than the level within the previous examination range. If you observe a little carefully, you can find the behavior of these fire frogs and fire fish. They are obviously doing exploratory work. However, these exploratory fire frogs and fire fish tribes were obviously cautious in their actions. If there was any slight disturbance, they would jump back into the water. This is also their advantage and the basis for establishing themselves as vassals of the Fire Feather clan. After all, the number of the Fire Feather tribe is much smaller than that of the Fire Frog tribe and Fire Fish tribe. In addition, the formation formed by the human race's defense line is like a mesh. The Fire Feather race's diving time is also limited, and they do not like to enter the water. Fortification is easier to target and difficult to break through. At present, many of their fire frog and fire fish tribes have been sent over to sneak into the rear through the developed water system of the small world of Wotang to investigate the opponent's situation. The first thing is to see clearly, what exactly is this human race trying to do, and what is it planning to do with so many young humans? In addition, it would be great if we could harass the rear. But when these fire frogs and fire fish jumped out of the water to patrol carefully, they happened to bump into Zhang Tian and Shui Ruyan. Clang. The alien team that saw this exploration only had 3 fire frogs and 3 fire fish, which was a limited number. Without thinking, Shui Ruyan rushed forward to fight with a spear in her hand. The Fire Frog clan and Fire Fish clan were naturally startled when they were suddenly attacked. But when I saw this human team, there were only 2 people. They looked so young. They didn't look like veterans of the human race stationed here. The initially flustered moods of the Fire Frog tribe and Fire Fish tribe stabilized instantly. Just two people, what's there to be afraid of? Clang. But when Shui Ruyan's spear came and collided with the heavy fork in his hand, the hands of the Fire Frog tribe who were the first to fight went numb. The next moment, Shui Ruyan's spear shook upwards, and the heavy fork in the Fire Frog's hand flew up and landed on the ground next to it. The spear penetrated the rainbow and instantly pierced the head of the Fire Frog tribe. However, Shui Ruyan was not in a hurry to pull out the spear. Instead, she followed Zhang Tian's suggestion and held the spear with both hands and exerted slight force. When the gun head was withdrawn, it stirred in the Fire Frog's head, and then he hit the gun again, knocking the Fire Frog over a little further away. This is the concept Zhang Tian taught Shui Ruyan. Don't let down your guard when hitting vital points. It's best to do more damage without affecting subsequent offensive actions. There are 5 more. Shui Ruyan's eyes were sharp, the spear in her hand was glowing with blood, and she was full of fighting spirit. Thanks for watching, please like and subscribe.